That's funny. I never got your list. It must have fallen out of the sleigh.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a gingerbread latte.
Oh, nice. I had a cinnamon hot toddy last night, which was whiskey with kind of apple juice with a bit of cinnamon, but it was lovely. I do like a hot toddy.
Well, I fancy the pumpkin spice, but unfortunately we didn't have any of the pumpkin syrup, so it's gingerbread instead. But it's very nice.
We're in John Lewis Cafe, Kate and I.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Hello and welcome to the Fertility Podcast. This is the last episode of 2019. Now, it's been such an amazing year, I have to say. There's been a load going on, not just in the fact that I have a new host on the podcast and have so for the last 6 months. Thank you to the wonderful Kate Davis. I love what is happening with the Fertility Podcast. And the podcast space has just gone crazy when it comes to what you can now listen to find out more about your fertility, which just makes my heart swell knowing that when I started this podcast there was nothing and now there's lots, and you are loving hearing stories being shared. You're sharing your stories, you're engaging more. Experts realise that this is the way that they need to be communicating more, and it means that for me going around asking more people to kind of get involved with the podcast and support the podcast, so many more people are saying yes, and I'm so excited about 2020. So I can only thank you for listening, and be sure to rate and review this podcast, any podcast that you listen to, because that's what makes us able to be found and carry on going. Now, I must say that this podcast episode might have a few triggers in it because it's mine and Kate's last episode. It's the pair of us just kind of wrapping up the year, and we were in a cafe and my very sensitive microphone picked up a lot of background noise. So whilst I've done my best to try and reduce it, there are some little people in there. So if that's not what you want to be hearing right now, totally get it. Have a lovely Christmas. Have a very happy New Year. We will be back. We're taking a little break. We'll be back with you in the new year, and we look forward to you joining us then. If you are going to stay with us, ace. Basically, Kate and I just wanted to have a chat to just give you some things to think about, really, over the coming weeks. And we're going to take a bit of time out, and we're hopefully going to be able to record more together in the new year, because it's been a new thing for me working with Kate, and we're in different parts of the country, and the ideal would be that we can get our guests and us, with everybody's busy schedules, in one place. Fingers crossed. Before we start though, I just want to tell you a little bit about pampering, and a big thank you to our sponsor, Fertilibox. Did you know that by removing toxins and fertility damaging chemicals from your daily products, improving your diet and taking the right supplements, you can improve your chances of conception and having a healthy pregnancy? Fertilibox.co.uk is the first health, beauty and lifestyle shop for people trying to conceive, where every product has been tested and endorsed by a team of experts, and it's entirely safe to use. Subscribe now and get 20% off everything, including subscriptions, with the code FertilityPoddy20. Right then, let's get on with the episode. This is us in a cafe, having a cuppa and a good old chinwag.
Today, Kate and I together, we've just been, we've properly got the coffee machine going on. We've just been recording an interview with Zoe Clarkes Coates, which we're going to be sharing in the new year. It was such a lovely conversation. I've been trying to speak with Zoe for quite some time. We keep passing at various events like at Fertility Show and Fertility Fest, and anyway, we came to meet with her, and now we're in a John Lewis Cafe. And one of the things that we wanted to do for the end of the year really was to just talk a bit about coping and about ending the year.
Absolutely.
We've had a lovely 6 months actually making the podcast together, and we've got some great plans for next year.
Yeah.
And one of the brilliant things about having Kate on the podcast is that we can answer your questions. So do have a think. Honestly, don't feel that any question is stupid. If there's a question that you're still trying to find an answer to, Kate is a fertility nurse with a good couple of decades experience.
Stop, make me feel really old.
And you can email us info@thefertilitypodcast.com.
And remember, all questions are anonymous if you want them to be, so we won't share your name or who you are at all. You can just send your questions in completely anonymously.
Now, when it comes to this time of year, it's a funny one because for me, we were told we needed treatment at Christmas time, so we had one Christmas totally wiped out from bad news. And I really remember that Christmas being really sad, but generally I love Christmas and it's all really good, and I really enjoy being surrounded by family. So that's my one experience of this TTC space impacting on my Christmas time. So I suppose we just wanted to make sure that you knew where else you could go. And I did share a blog post where I'd curated some different episodes that people who were talking about being childless were giving their advice and their wisdom. And I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen with you, but I suppose I just wanted to give that perspective of what everyone was saying, because there was just amazing conversations with the likes of Jodie Day, and Kelly De Silva and Jessica Hepburn and Robin Hadley, Kate Kaufmann, all people who are just, they've walked it, they've got great advice. But then the more kind of tangible day-to-day stuff that you can do coping-wise, what would your best tips be?
I think whenever you're with family over Christmas, you're forced into a situation that can be a little bit stressful anyway, because not always do families always get on. So automatically you're going to have, or potentially you could have a stressful situation. And I think often it's times like that perhaps family might turn around and say, right, so when are you going to have a baby? So it's that inevitable question, and it's really how to navigate that situation that you find yourself put in, because it can be really a difficult question to answer. You don't know how best to answer it, and maybe you just don't want to answer it. And I think if you do decide that you want to avoid answering that type of question, then come up with a really, really quick retort, but have this planned. So have your answers planned in your mind so that you can quickly whip them out, because there's nothing worse than being on the back foot.
Because you'll know who those people are likely to be.
Absolutely.
You'll know who those people will be that are likely to ask those difficult questions.
Yeah. So it's all about deflecting. So, you might say, great Aunt Hilda asked you, when are you going to have a baby, dear? As they tend to do. And a quick reply would be, not sure, Aunt Hilda. Anyway, how's your leg? Just deflecting that conversation as quickly as you can so that you can just move on. And then another way of answering it is to say something like, well, actually, Uncle Bernard, that's a really personal question, don't you think? Anyway, so how are you? Just deflecting that information. And I think once you get that out there, they very quickly realise this is a no-go area, and they really shouldn't be asking that type of question. I think that's one of them. The other one is the big one that is really difficult to avoid with social media, is that inevitable pregnancy announcement, which people save up because they want to announce it either when they're in a family situation over Christmas dinner, so that all the family are there so that they can celebrate, not realising that one of the family members sat around the table is really suffering. They probably have no idea. So they want to share that excitement with their family. You can understand that. So it's how you deal with that, and that can be quite a difficult one to deal with. And not only that, not around the Christmas table, but just on social media, it'll be everywhere. So be warned that there will be so many pregnancy announcements on social media, and if you need to get off social media, then do.
Even if it's not pregnancy announcements, it could be first Christmas, baby's first Christmas.
100%.
And if you've been following, especially online in the TTC space, if you've been following people's journeys and then they're sharing their first Christmas, and you're equally happy for them,
of course.
But you've still got to be prepared for that trigger and protect and come off.
And I think it is. I know a lot of people feel quite guilty for feeling negatively about their friends or family who have had a baby, but I think it's equally possible to be really, really happy for somebody whilst at the same time feeling utter devastation for yourself. And I think you should take that guilt away. Turn off the guilt when it comes to Christmas with regards to having a glass of wine or having a mince pie. A glass of wine and a mince pie is not going to stop you getting pregnant. So switch off that guilt, step away from it and enjoy Christmas, because I'm of the philosophy that you have to enjoy your life while you're trying to conceive, because otherwise life is just so incredibly miserable. So grab hold of the times when you can have that little enjoyment and don't feel guilty.
What about if you try not to drink? Because obviously, I would always advise to have a champagne glass and put something else, have a wine glass with something else in it, feign people, use the glasses that everybody else is using, and or even if you need to, say you're on medication.
Yeah, you can always do that. I think it's something that we worry about, but actually in a situation like a party or a meal, probably other people may not necessarily always realise. So I think you can get away with having that glass of wine sitting there half full and it stays half full all evening. You know, you can get away with it, or having something else in it. So a good one is gin and tonic. Just tonic. If you're pouring your own gin and tonic, just pour tonic in it. Fantastic. Put a bit of lemon in and some cardamom pods. It so looks like a gin and tonic, but it's not.
What about for actually on Christmas Day when it's so kind of focused on each other and it might be a bit much? Any kind of survival tips? Like one thing that Robin Hadley said in a conversation we had, Robin talks a lot about men dealing with childlessness, and he talks about, screaming child, he talks about having this kind of ritual of planning. He talks about the ritual of always planning a walk in his favourite place, and I think making those new rituals,
new traditions,
is a nice thing to think about.
Yeah. I think it's so important. I think when you are faced in that situation on Christmas Day and you feel a loss because you're reminded once again that you don't have a family to share this day with, is to think about the two of you and start making your own traditions. And I think back to when I first got married and how my husband and I made traditions right from the very get-go. And we're still carrying those traditions through now with our family. I think it's just a lovely thing to start doing, so that, a family is more than just having children. A family is the two of you. A family is your home. And so start making those traditions and enjoy your day as much as you possibly can.
And I think if you're like off work and you've got quite a bit of time to reflect and you're thinking about what's gone on, one thing is to actually ask yourself what you've stopped doing. And be really honest with yourself. If you've stopped doing stuff because of what's going on whilst you're trying to conceive, then write it down and say to yourself, and I'm not saying New Year's resolutions because then they'll get all caught up and you can beat yourself up about not keeping them, but just write a couple of things down that you've stopped doing that you're going to start doing again. It could be as easy as not giving yourself grief for having a piece of cake or a takeaway, or making sure that you go out with such and such a friend who you might have been avoiding for X, Y, Z reason, but try and start some things that you might have stopped, I think.
Yeah, one of the posts that I put on Instagram on a reasonably regular basis, and I do it on a reasonably regular basis because it always gets the most interest, and I think it's because I hit on a nerve, and that post says, live your life while trying to conceive, because you tend to put your life on hold. So you put on hold going on holiday because you might be pregnant or you might be going through IVF. You put on hold that job promotion because what if you were to get pregnant, and then that would be awkward because you've just taken this job promotion. But actually you end up then spending a year, 24 months, and you look back and you think, life has been on hold that whole time and I've not moved forward, I've not achieved anything that I want to achieve, whatever it might be in that time. So I would say, do you know what? Book that holiday. What's the worst that could happen? You have to cancel it. Well, we have insurance. You take that job promotion. What's the worst that can happen? You have to tell your boss that you're pregnant and you might have to go on maternity leave.
Do you know that job conversation, something that I was having just the other day about us deselecting ourselves as women because of this internal dialogue, and I think that's such a key one, especially with having that time out of work. And I've had so many conversations with friends of late who are having a rough time at work and they're tolerating stuff that they shouldn't, and if that does apply to you, then totally go for it. Don't let yourself think, what if, because the worst case scenario is that you don't have the career or the baby. So give yourself, it's like giving yourself that reassurance, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I think we get so caught up in the what's not happening.
You forget to make the life. Yeah. And I think, when, like I said earlier, when all of this is just miserable, if you can find joy in other areas, then you should grab it with both hands and feel that happiness and allow yourself to feel that happiness. And some ladies feel that they don't want to feel happy because they don't deserve to feel happy, or they're scared to feel happy because then they know that if they feel happy they might feel worse when things perhaps don't work out with the next round of IVF. But you've then just deprived yourself from feeling happiness for a period of time, and whether or not you feel happy or allow yourself to feel happy or not, if things don't work out with your next IVF cycle, you're going to feel rubbish regardless. So it's allowing yourself to take on that hope and happiness when you can. Grab it with both hands and use it.
And I don't think it has to be a massive thing.
No.
We were just talking before, because last month Kate was the expert in FertiliBox, and there's still an offer going on with FertiliBox. If you use the code FertilityPoddy20, you can get a discount on a subscription box, and I've just had the latest box arrive. And one of the things I was just saying to Kate is that I'm not particularly good at pampering myself, and actually something like that gives you joy. It's only a little something, but I'm using like a little natural deodorant today, and I've been wanting to get a natural deodorant for ages, and these are all little things that I'm like, okay, this is good for me. And there's a lovely eyeliner in it that is a natural eyeliner, and it was really nice to put on, and all these tiny little bits of self-care.
Absolutely.
So whilst you're thinking about, oh gosh, I can't do things at work, or I can't do this, even if it's as simple as pampering yourself a little bit, and that doesn't have to cost the earth.
No.
It's just those little things of, I think, self-protection along the way that we just, I totally was guilty of stopping doing that. And I was saying to you, wasn't I, that I was using a foot cream the other day because I took a look at, and especially in the winter months when we're all wrapped up, and just coat yourself. It's like a protective outer layer cream, and you know, I'm going to go get my nails done, and all the stuff that it's nice to do for yourself. Allow yourself, and for your partner as well, if you're with somebody or not. But I think both of you, if there are two of you, both need to think about that self-protection.
Definitely, and I think we are so focused, aren't we, on medicalising things. So we're so focused on a treatment and doing everything that we're supposed to be doing with regards to getting pregnant, and the last thing you think of is your own self and your own emotional self. That always comes last. The amount of ladies that I see that are going through IVF and have been battling with it clinically for a number of months, and then suddenly realise actually they're feeling emotionally drained, and that's because the last attention has come to their emotional health. So where you can self-care and pamper and be pampered, it can only be a good thing.
So we're heading towards Christmas. We're going to have a bit of a break, Kate and I, as we just enjoy Christmas and get ourselves ready for the new year. And one of the things that we're looking to do in 2020 is talk a lot more about women's health in general. One thing that you might not know about Kate is she does a lot of work in natural fertility and kind of natural conception.
Natural contraception.
And natural contraception.
Yeah, as well as fertility.
And that's something that we were talking about, something we could make into a podcast. So I'd be really interested to hear from you if natural contraception is something that you'd like to understand more about, because there's a number of ways that we could do it. We could just chat about it, or we could host some live Q&As. So again, do drop us a line either on our socials, which we'll give you at the end, or you can email us info@thefertilitypodcast.com, because you're saying more and more women are wanting to understand more about it.
Yeah, so there's various different reasons why women might choose to use natural contraception. So it could be that they don't want to get pregnant, clearly, or it could be that actually they would like to get pregnant, but they want to stop hormonal contraception and really consider their own body, learn about their own body in preparation for when they would like to conceive. The other side of it is that women who have gone through IVF and perhaps not been successful might want to strip everything back to basics and really learn fertility awareness, learn about their body to optimise their ability to conceive naturally. So it can be used in so many different ways. Clearly, to use it truly for conceiving might not necessarily be what everyone is looking for, but there's different ways that you can use it.
Is it hard?
To use it as a method of natural contraception, it takes a lot of learning. To use it as a method to understand your body and to achieve pregnancy, no, it doesn't take a great deal of learning. It takes some motivation and a good fair dollop of commitment, but it's less, clearly if you're using it as a method of natural contraception, then it's quite rigorous and got rules attached to it. But to learn the fertility awareness as a method of understanding your body, it's reasonably simple.
All right, so let us know if that's an area of interest, because the whole preconception area, there's lots that we can talk about. We're going to be talking more about understanding your cycle, about period health, all sorts of things like that.
And also we want to talk about more complex women's health issues, so things that are perhaps a little bit more unusual. So if you've been diagnosed with anything that you perhaps haven't heard of before, or is more complex with regards to kind of any gynae health, women's health, then we'd love to hear from you, because we want to focus on those topics as well.
trying to fill in all the gaps, really. And then another thing that we're going to be doing is making the podcast, and I've said this a little bit in some of the videos I've been sharing, is just making the podcast easier to find when you're looking for the content. So kind of grouping together more topics, because there's so many different things that we're trying to deal with, whether it's our emotions or it is our actual physical health or it's failed treatment or it's questions. Even if you've got questions that are as straightforward as what happens when I go for my treatment, or what happens how long do I have to wait when treatment's failed, or it might not be treatment related, it's how long do I have to be trying before I get any tests, or I mean that's probably one that Dr. Google can answer, but you know, it doesn't matter what stage of where you're at the question might be, we can get them answered. So bear that in mind. You're going to go and do some Christmas shopping. Have you done it?
I'm almost through it. Do you know what? Because my husband is really difficult to buy for this year. We always do each other kind of like a little stocking, but we put it under the tree. We try not to spend very much. By the time you bought a few things, it's all kind of getting a bit crazy. But he's not really giving me any ideas. Although saying that, it's my birthday on Boxing Day, and it is, and he keeps asking me what I want, and I have absolutely no idea. No idea.
For Christmas or birthday?
For birthday, because obviously he's got a hard job. He's got Christmas and birthday.
My sister's birthday's on Monday, and it's so annoying, and she gets annoyed because everyone's booked up. And is that why you're having a big party?
No, that's a drinks party.
Just a drinks party. What
Anyone's invited. Drinks party at Shay Davis.
What's Boxing Day like for you then, with it being your birthday?
I love it, actually. I wouldn't want my birthday around Christmas if it wasn't as close to Christmas as it is. And the reason being is that family are together, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, but normally it's a good thing. I'm not at work. I'm not having to work on my birthday. That would be miserable, although I have in the past. The Christmas tree is up. The house is pretty. People are in a festive mood. There's lots of wine.
Do you get off the cooking on Boxing Day?
Yes. Do you know what I have? Every year, bubble and squeak.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
That's traditional Boxing Day fare, isn't it?
It is, and it's one of my favourite meals.
Do you have candles in it?
Do you know what? Well, funny enough, that's one thing that I said to my husband the other day. I never have a birthday cake. I was being a really stroppy teenager. I never have a birthday cake. And it's because there's so much Christmas cake, and I make a Christmas cake.
Right.
So perhaps I need to stop making Christmas cake and then get him to make me a birthday cake.
Right. Birthday cake for Kate. A New Year? New Year plan?
New Year, not sure yet. We've got a few options. We're keeping our options open on where we're going to go and where we might be invited. Not quite wanting to commit yet. What about you?
Well, we're about to embark on a Christmas Hanukkah road trip.
Yes.
It's Christmaka in my household, because Hanukkah starts on the 22nd of December. It's like January. We'll be with family for Hanukkah, and then family for Christmas, and then we'll have a bit of time out from family, and then we'll be with mates for New Year's Eve.
Brilliant.
And
Great.
we're actually seeing some like one of my oldest friends for New Year, and I don't know if we've ever spent a New Year together. And she just said to me out of the blue, did we want to spend it together? And it was lovely. It's just like her family and my family, and it would just be wicked. And she keeps like messaging me, going, "What we're going to eat and what we're going to drink," and you know, because
this
we're
is
all
where
foodies.
You're going to, ironically, my husband's best friend's
and that's New Year's Day.
Yeah, New Year's Day. So and that's completely ironic, isn't it? That wasn't planned at all.
Well, you told me about it.
I did tell you about it, but they live in that area, don't they?
Yeah. Well, I guess all that then is left for us to say is a happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas, everybody.
And thank you for your support. And whilst you're off over the Christmas period, if you feel like rating and reviewing the podcast,
please.
That would be ace. So you can follow me at Fertility Poddy on Insta and on Twitter.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Your Fertility Journey and Twitter at Fert Journey.
And like we say, we're back in the new year. I'll let you know on the socials when we're going to be back. It won't be that long, but we're going to have a couple of weeks off just to recharge and reboot all the batteries and everything, and
plan.
And here's to a great 2020.
Absolutely.
Did you ever drink 2020, the drink? You're probably a little bit older than me. No disrespect. Just I won't phrase it like that.
I'm dying now, Gordy. I feel old as it is.
There's
and
a
you've
drink,
just kind of,
there's a drink
made
called
it worse.
2020, and it's going to make me laugh all next year, because basically there was Kiwi 2020 that we used to buy underage and drink at school discos. It was pretty ropey. I don't even know if it still exists, but every time I talk about it being 2020, I just
You
can
just
see
think
this
of that
Kiwi
drink.
bottle.
I don't remember it.
It was like it must have been it can't have been a liqueur. If anybody ever drank Kiwi 2020 or any, I think there was different flavours. Do again get in touch. Well, yeah, we're going to bid you farewell. Season's festive wishes,
And it's been a great 6 months. Put it there.
High
Natalie.
five.
Yay!
We wish you a happy Hanukkah, we wish you a Merry Christmas, and we wish you a Happy New Year. Thank you for listening to the Fertility Podcast.
Bye.
Okay, now can I do what I want?
Go for it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, once I got up.